Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Tonight we are going to look at Apache Camel. It is very easy to use, so do not be afraid if you hear someone talk about Apache Camel. It will just help you if you are doing a lot of integrations and it's done in a standard way. Then Apache Camel might be the framework for you. I'll just jump right into it and just a little bit of the theory about our integrations. We have some kind of source always. This is our source. This is where we get some data from. It can be some REST endpoint that exposes some data. This could be a file. It could be a file in a folder that is placed inside a folder. It could be a message on a Rabbit MQ queue. It could be a lot of. It could be anything. Something that has some data. It could also, of course, be a WebSocket, a piece of WebSocket communication. It can be whatever you want to. That's actually why Apache Camel is so strong. So we have a source of with something, then we have a destination right here. So we have a source that has some piece of info right here. And then this information usually needs to be changed, to be transformed into something else. So we usually take this info and then we convert this into some other info, like info version 2, where maybe we have removed some data. We have also enriched it with data from some other sources that could also be. But we have data. We have this piece of data right here. Info is now info 2, and then we place it at this destination right here. This is called integration, right? Where we have some kind of transformation right here. Transformation right here. And that is what Apache Camel is actually standardizing. So they have created something called camlets. That means that it's plugins that can be used right here. It is plugins that can be used right here as a destination. Then we can just say that we want some data from a folder, from a file that ends up in some folder, and then we want to extract that data, do something with it, and then we want to send it to a RabbitMQ queue, for instance. That is possible with the Apache Camel, and if there is some of these camlets right here, or camel plugins, camlets, I've seen them mentioned as camlets or camel plugins, or camel components is also a name that they can be that they go under. If there's no camlets or plugins for this weird system that you are extracting data from or placing data in, then of course you can write your own by extending Apache Camel's framework with your own plugin or your own camlet. But of course, this is the first video I'm going to create about Apache Camel, so I'll keep it light to begin with, not to scare you. Let us just jump right into it. How do we get started? We get started with Spring Boot as usual, because we like Spring Boot, so we create a new Spring Boot project right here. It is so easy using Spring Boot, it's just plug and play. Then we find Spring Boot, Spring Initializer, it's right there. Give it some cool name, choose Java or Kotlin if you really like that. And then Gradle, I prefer Gradle, so I choose that right here. Choose your Java version and your Java compatibility level right here. Just choose latest and greatest if you don't know what to choose, and then next finish. And as you can see right here, I'm using WSL. I'm running on a Windows platform, and then I'm running Windows subsystem for Linux. That means that I have all of my Linux utilities by very, very easily accessible. But now I press cancel. That was actually not intended. I wanted to show something else. I want to show you that you need to search for the Apache Camel dependency right here. And of course, it helps if you spell it correctly. Apache Camel, you just tick off this box right here, and you press create. To begin with, start by getting a good overview. As always, it doesn't matter what kind of technology you're dealing with. Keep your ambitions small in the beginning. Get a hang of what is actually going on, and then scale up and try to integrate to RabbitMQ, for instance, or Kafka, or whatever you want to integrate to afterwards, because it gets you have to add some more dependencies, and some of these dependencies actually uses XML, for instance. Then you also have to add some XML dependencies, but I will show you that in other videos. In this video, we will keep it simple. We will keep it simple with those plugins and those camlets that are actually already available inside the default Apache Camel distribution. I want to show you my build.gradle file right here, and I want to show you that I have this this line right here, implementation. Then we have Camo, Spring Boot, Starter, and then some kind of version on it right there. Of course, I always take off the Lombok also, so that is actually there, of course, also. That just helps me when I want to create some beans or something. Then I save a lot of a lot of coding. What we need to do is we need to create a class that extends route builder. So you can see this is my first route. And that's actually not true. This is my first route builder actually, but yeah, I named that. Let us just rename it. So I'll just press Control R twice right here. I'm trying to have the same keyboard setup as I have for my Visual Studio Code. So this gives me some weird shortcut keys sometimes about my first route builder. So it's actually my first integration, because a route builder is actually just an interface where you have to, or it's an abstract class. Sorry, it's an abstract class where we have to implement and override the configure method. This is where all the magic happens. And let me just, before you get confused, let me just show you how easy it actually is. So we have some data that comes from some kind of source, and one source that is already built in is the timer source. So then we write timer, and then we give it some kind of name, and that could be Mike's timer, like this. And then we need to have destination too, and then we need to use this again. We need to give this weird URI, and this is a weird Apache Camel URI, and we need to actually look up the documentation for each of these plugins every time we need to use them, because they actually have something called query parameters. You can configure these sources and destinations to act differently depending on which query parameters we give them. And then there's something called a log. That means it will just print out in the console log. We will start with that. Mike's log. Yeah, this is Mike's log destination right there, and then that's actually it. So this should be enough to configure a route builder. If you read the documentation, you do not need to use Spring Boot, of course, in order to use Apache Camel. You can just use plain Java, and if you use plain Java, then you need to run some extra command, like you need to create a context, an Apache Camel context, and then there you need to add this whatever this returns right here. This returns a we need to add it to it is a route definition right here yeah. So just so you know, but then you can just read the documentation about the plain Java Apache Camel example if you want to do that. It's much easier with Spring Boot. Now I've talked a lot. I'll press the play button right there, and then we will see what actually happens. Timer, Mike's timer, and is there an R too much? There might be. Let us see. No, it actually works. So Mike's timer, that's fine. And here we can see Mike's log. That is that sentence right here. And then every second it writes something weird. It says exchange, and then it says body is null, body is null, body is null. That's because we have not set what kind of information do we want to get printed out right here. We have not configured our timer, so it just spams our log every second. So let us start with actually adding some query parameters right here. And if you don't know which query parameters you can use, go to the documentation, and it is actually quite good, the documentation for components right here. I've looked up Camel, Apache org /components. Of course, you need to use the right version right here. And then you can just look for the timer component right there. And then you can see, you can actually configure all of these cool stuff right here. Delay before the first event is triggered. Let us just use that just for fun. I'll set delay, so I'll set that to 3 seconds. So it will not be triggered until we get until after 3 seconds after the Spring Boot application is started up and 3 seconds has passed. Fixed rates, that means that it will try to actually trigger at a fixed rate as it says. So this means that if you have some kind of transformation, some kind of program that takes like 2 seconds to run, and you want and you have set up this period that we have right here to 3 seconds, then it will still just only wait 1 second, and then it will actually trigger once again, because it will try to have a fixed rate execution if possible. If you set this fixed rate right here to true, for our experiment right here, of course, it does not matter. I'll set the period also. Period, I'll set that to, what should we set it to? 4 seconds. Yeah, 4 seconds, and then a smaller delay. I'm a bit impatient today, so delay 2 seconds, period 4 seconds. That's fine. Let us just see that it works now. So that's the first part. We are now configuring our source Camlet or source Apache Camel plugin. And here we see, first of all, it took 2 seconds before we was triggered once. Then it takes 4 seconds from now on before we get the same weird spam where it says body is null. Okay, so that's thank you very much for that. We do not want this to go on forever, so we just want just want the code to be triggered maybe 5 times. Repeat. Yeah, what's it called? Repeat what? Repeat count. Yeah, that's the name. Repeat count. Repeat count equals to 5. Then we get it 5 times, and then after the 5 times, this will actually stop. Then the source will no longer be triggered, or will no longer trigger this route right here. So this is called a route builder because this in total is called a route. And of course, you can have as many routes as you want to. You can have as many destinations as you want to. You can also have multiple. You can also have multiple sources, and that is where I think the strength definitely comes in. But I will not show this tonight. What do I want to show now? I want to set a body because. We can manipulate the body and the information by using set body or the transform. I like the set body a bit better, and that is because I think it is more specific to what is actually going on. We are setting something in the body. What we actually get here right now, we can use a lambda because this is a function that has this exchange right here as one generic, and then it has the object as another generic right here, and then it needs to return a string as it's actually an object needs to return. In this situation right here, I'm going to return a string for the body. There's an exchange object which you can see right here. So let me just write this right here. So now we have a function. Now we're inside the lambda right here. Remember, a lambda is just an interface with an implementation of an interface with just one method that is a lambda. So do not be scared whenever you hear lambda. Just inside your head, just here. Oh, this is an implementation of an interface with exactly one method. Yeah. Okay. So here now we have this exchange object right here that we can actually use. This means that I can actually get the inputs. There are actually informations that can be attached to this information object. So that means that we actually have this exchange object. There's an in object right here that has some headers. That means we can actually set these headers. The same with out. Get the out. There's also an out object. But the out object, we are not going to. We cannot set that yet because it has not been created, but there is an out object that we can. That is actually what we are setting by returning a string right here. So this means that we can actually attach headers to our object as we go, and we can also extract the headers. Let me just get the in and get headers right here. So this is my headers string. My headers in equals to this, and of course we need to convert. This is actually a map, so we need to convert it to a string. But there's a go-to-string representation on the maps right here. So now I have my headers in. Then I want to return a string. I can return, what should I return? Hello, some dots maybe, and plus local datetime .now, so that is the current time, and then I also want to add the headers so we can see those nice headers that we actually get right there. So this is our return value. This is just in this situation right here, it's just a string. This string would then be passed to the log component right there, and then if we have done everything right, then it should be printed out right here. So let us try and run this Spring Boot application with Apache Camel enabled. So our application has started up, Mike's log. Now we get something weird. Look what happens now. So first of all, we get exchange. So we still have the exchange object. Then we have the body right here. That is the body that we created. We set the time hello, and then we set the current time, which is right here. And here we get all of the input arguments. So here we have the headers from the input object. Camel message timestamp fired on this date right here. So that means that this timestamp right here does not need to be exactly this timestamp right here, because it takes some time, of course, to go through the code and then end up with our line right here. So this is a cool example. If you have also written the same code that I've written right now you're actually almost an Apache Camel expert. Just for fun. Then I want to show you the strength of Apache Camel. I want to add another destination, and I want to use the file destination. File destination right here. It has another syntax. You have to give it the file colon, and then you need to give the directory for where it should actually place the file. And I've created an output folder in my project right here. It's right there already, and it's full of files because I wanted to test that everything was set up correctly before I started the video. So I'll just delete the files, and then I'll say, and again, this is the worst. If I should be a bit grumpy, then it's this part right here, this URI that we need to give right here. Of course, it's not. It's a string, so that of course there's no. You don't get any. It's not object oriented. It's not built by code or anything like that. It's just a string. I don't like that I have to first write this, and then I have to go and look in the documentation to see if everything was okay. And then when I make some mistake, if I write something that is incorrect right here, then I have to start my program, and then I have to see by runtime that I have an error. It's much better by compile time to get the errors. Of course, it's much faster. Fail fast. That's a good. It's a good word, a good sentence, a good mantra, what you will say. Okay, so let's see what happens now. So now again. Yes, now again, we have all of these. Let us see if I get some files. Let us go look in I'll go take a terminal right here. Let's see. Go to my output right here. And here I can already see that I actually got 5 files right here, and there I have the timestamp from now, and I have a beautiful file name. Now this is the default file name, so of course we should give it a nice file name instead. But the content of the file is then the body that we actually had. Yeah, this is the body from our code, from a beautiful code right here. Let us just look at the documentation for the file, because this was the timer we have right here. And try to look in the left side. Look at all of these plugins right here. It is amazing. That's a ton of work that you would actually get for free. I think it's awesome. A lot of cool plugins that we have right here. Now we have the file. This is the file component. This is a file plugin. What if we want to change the file name? I have not prepared this part, so I might file name right there. Okay, we can set it direction name, blah blah. I think we can set it through the header somewhere. I think I might save that for the next video where we're doing some more advanced stuff. But it is of course possible to set the file name, existing camel or file name, blah blah. Yeah, so it is possible. I need to fiddle a bit with it before I can make it work. If you use the file components and the file plugin as an input for input, then you can say that you want to move the file after it has been used, after it has been read. Then you can move it to another folder instead of just deleting it. And did I have that somewhere? Yeah. Move the file. Move on done or something is done. Done file name, yeah, it's possible. Done file name. Then it can be named. Then it can be moved to another file or renamed to another file name when it has been moved. When it has been handled and transformed. Yeah, but there's a lot of cool things in with Apache Camel. And it's especially this that we can actually give it multiple destinations, and we can also from a source that we have right here. Of course, we can also have intermediate steps, so we first we move something from one source, then it ends up in one destination, and then of course we can continue from this destination. Then this destination right here can actually become the source for a new route, and then we have a new destination here right here. Of course, it's actually a quite normal flow, especially if you are dealing with third-party vendors. Then you might want to place the information on a queue, on your own queue system. That could be a Kafka queue or RabbitMQ, because then you have a system that supports asynchronous communication is very, very stable. And this means that then your application can then take these messages off the queue whenever they have time to handle them, instead of just being spammed by whenever this third-party vendor thinks that that he or she has some information for our system. Of course, we would like to take those and then unload them somewhere, and then we would like to handle them one by one when we have the CPU time and memory to handle it. Yeah, I think that is actually it. I think that is it. Thank you very much for watching, and as usual, I will place this project in the description below. Hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.